Don't wait. Take the first step, because what you find is it's actually much easier usually than what you think it is. And you've made it up to be a very, very big, risky step. But if you don't take it, you're not in it. You're not going to get enough revenue. You're not going to generate it. And so a lot of it is just take that step and get in there and go ahead and jump in the mud and let's get going.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Behind the Franchise. As always, I'm your host, Paul Ehlinger. Today, super excited, joined by Stefan Figley, who's the president of 1-800 Packouts. Stefan, thanks for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me, Paul.
Absolutely. And have to ask, I always like to say, for people who don't know you, how the heck did you get here, and what are you doing today with 1-800 Packouts? I know your resume has a lot of big name brands on it, and I'm also curious, there's like CMO, COO, COO. You've managed all the different orgs. So give us the quick background.
Yeah, no problem. So I started in the marketing elements, actually on the agency side. Worked for one of the largest marketing agencies in the world. I did not do the creative. I did the analytics. It was like before digital, right as digital was starting. And so everything below the line, how you can prove ROI and everything. Did that all over the world, actually. Living in Russia and in Germany, ran 25 different markets.
That's awesome.
For them, doing analytics and so forth. But that kind of drove me into consulting, and then thought I had landed a huge client. Ended up actually getting offered a job to take over their director of marketing for one of their
So in a way,
brands.
you want a client, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. So they said, no, we want you just to think about this one brand.
Yeah.
So I got on with them, and that's how I got into franchising. Actually, is because they had a small franchising arm, and really wasn't doing anything from an operations standpoint. Really tenured, didn't want to get out of their franchises and go corporate. There were 3,000 corporate offices, and corporate really wanted them. They didn't want to get out. And then the thing is, they said, man, all we really want is help in marketing. And so I jumped in to help with them, and then put them on the same programs that corporate was running to give them cost efficiencies on direct mail, on our digital strategies and everything. And so that's how I actually started working in franchising.
Makes sense.
Got promoted to run another franchise brand within that same organization from the marketing side. And we went through transitions, got a little bit into operations during the transitions with a hole. And really kind of from there started moving over into operations. That's when I went to Janiking as the COO. Executing on on how we deal with sales across all the different platforms. We had our own corporate locations, but we still dealt with about 2,500 plus franchisees.
Yep.
And so that's how I got into the operational side, and then really kind of moved my way. All franchising from then on. Last 20 plus years have been franchising, except for 1-2 year stint. I was the CEO of a construction national general contractor. So really my only dive out besides my wife and I owning our own business as well. And so kind of that's how it's been led. Really like working with folks trying to build their businesses, their entrepreneurships, utilizing that, working through that and supporting them has been something I enjoy. That's why I got back into it. And, that's how I ended up here at 1-800 Packouts with 5-star franchising. Great group, great platform, very aggressive. And we want to try to help owners do that. And so with my background in some restoration, I jumped back in and I'm back into the restoration industry and franchising. So
I love that. Thanks for walking us through the journey. And I'm always curious. I think I'm also a guy who I went from engineering to ops, and now obviously in a CEO role at a software company. How valuable has those experiences been running different parts of an organization been to just being a CEO, right? Because I think of it, the way I view my job is like I'm pushing vision and all of that good stuff. But then in reality, I'm picking which fire in which organization I want to address at a time, right? I'm bouncing between them all. Shared experience for you, or what, how has that all led to your CEO and how you manage stuff today?
You mentioned it just right. I mean, all of it puts together people's backgrounds, right? I like my background as it's very spread out from a marketing perspective, which is always something that's huge in most service brands because you're trying to get growth.
100%, yeah.
And so marketing is a huge dynamic. So knowing the elements that are going on, I don't know the day in and day outs anymore.
Sure.
Digital has taken on so many more paths than where I was, and now you're adding AI. And
we're
you can see
I'm
gray. I'm gray. It's like AI resistant right there. I'm just kidding. I'm trying to learn it myself. As my son likes to point out, Dad, you're using it like it's Google. I'm like,
you're like, is it not?
What do I do next? How do I get out of this thing? I don't want to use not. What do you mean? Yeah. So I've learned more and more about threads and everything, but it's being able to adapt and try to keep an open mind to everything that's going on. And like you said, like being in all these different roles, it puts a different perspective on it. You understand what's going on with franchisees a little bit more. You put yourself in their shoes. At the same time, you need to tell them what you're looking for and why you're trying to help them.
Yep.
And so all of that together has been helpful to be able to provide some rounded support elements for these franchisees and trying to give them the whys. I mean, a lot of people come out of corporate America and jump into franchising and they're like, well, what do you mean I got to spend on local marketing? Isn't that what the franchise does?
Marketing as an investment is such a simple concept, yet one that is not understood around the world.
You say it's simple. It's way different. It's like, trust me, when I was, as I mentioned, one of these other brands, I had a franchise owner literally call me up after a town hall meeting. And I was the chief marketing officer and said, I cannot believe that you have that title as you're saying the internet is going to survive. That was literally something that was said to me by a franchise owner. And I can give you as probably a little less than 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's just amazing. It's like, man, like guys, owners, let's open this up.
Yeah.
Test. Don't put everything in one basket. Just keep
100%.
testing. We're going to find the things that are the most efficient. When you find them, maximize it.
Yeah.
We have another brand president, and he'll tell you all day long, maximize.
Yeah.
If you want to grow.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think it's the philosophy that gets us excited, right? So like we're building AI for franchise marketing. And I think what's so unique about it is there's like very few other businesses where you can truly A/B test the business model in such finite geographic areas, right? And with that, I think to your point, the hard thing about that is iterating at scale, testing at scale. But if you can figure out how to do that, the ability to find what works and then just blow it up in every other market is super high. I mean, it makes franchising a fun place to build in, right?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And you expand way faster with the franchisees if you can show them the ROI model to it.
Yeah.
And that here's what we tested and this is what worked. And here's what we think it can generate. And the hard part is making sure they understand this isn't a guarantee.
Right.
This is what's proven out. This is way better than you just taking a litmus test going, I picked there. We're not throwing darts at a wall here anymore. Where are you going to market today, Paul? Hold on and throw the dart. Oh, look at that. I'm going to Alaska, apparently.
Right. It's going to work. I promise. Yeah, totally.
So there's way more details and data that go with it, which is great. And so it should definitely help a lot of owners.
Yeah, and I think, you've touched on it a bit. You love being CEO of a franchise brand because you get to empower people to build their own businesses, do all of this good stuff. I'm curious how you do handle that education portion of it, right? Because marketing as an investment, marketing as a funnel even, right? Of like, hey, we do have to spend money so people know us, but that's not why they're going to buy from us or choose our service. Like that's lower in the consideration funnel. How do you go about building out those education systems so that as you're executing high-level strategy, the Z's can be bought in right away?
Yeah, it's a good, it changes with every brand. Literally if it's a B2C, it's much more direct. You can get there much quicker. Franchisees are buying in at a much quicker level because you can show the number. As I said, with some of my sister brands within 5-star franchising, they're sitting there looking at it and say, folks, if we paid $10,000 this month in local marketing, digital marketing, here's what we generated. Here's what we had from lead aggregators. Here's our campaigns. If we would have spent 20, we would have been here. At a certain point, you're going to max that out and have to move to different elements. But do you want to grow? Invest in it. And so they have a really easy, I wouldn't say easy, but a much cleaner
more easily to understand.
Yeah. And you get to my business, we're a B2C. So we're almost like it isn't as simple. We're talking to insurance companies. We're trying to find other contractors.
And for clarity, you mean B2B, not B2C there.
Sorry, B2B. You're right.
Yeah.
You're absolutely. Thank you. But we're talking to contractors that running their own business. We're a niche of the entire industry. And so why we can be their best partner, what we can do to help them. And so it is a different story.
A little more consultative in how you would sell, I guess.
And it's a little slower.
Yeah.
And the sales process is a big, much longer time period. Getting owners to understand that, especially new owners, as they're just getting into the business, they want response real quick. They need the money. They want the cash, right? And it's like, hey, you guys need to keep this going and going. Like, I don't see it. And then the way we do it, we also bring our other longer term owners into the mix to be able to share with them. Guys, I mean, I had somebody celebrate that he's been working this one contract for a year. He's been in our business since the beginning, and he came to me at a trade show and he said, I just wanted to let you know it's been 12 months and I finally got a job from the guy. And I'm like, man, can you tell all our new owners you had to do that? But again, it's consistent reinforcement of the metrics that are there, what we've seen, and being able to provide some other examples of folks that have been able to successfully 100%. Do that and get into it. What I found, I bet this is the same that you're seeing. We all come up with great ideas. I call them round table ideas. Can they ever get away from the office or the conference room that we all came up with it on, or on the call, into real world? And the hard part is a lot of times, and this isn't just franchisees, this is anybody. The hardest thing is that first step is actually trying it. Like, oh, I don't know if I know enough about it. I'm going to wait. Don't wait. Take the first step, because what you find is it's actually much easier usually than what you think it is. And you've made it up to be a very, very big, risky step. But if you don't take it, you're not in it. You're not going to get enough revenue. You're not going to generate it. And so a lot of it is just take that step and get in there and go ahead and jump in the mud and let's get going.
I think it's one of the skills I try to select for, I would say. I think I talk about it a lot. It's the ability to make hard decisions with limited data and generally be right. That is, like, I think the faster you can make that iteration cycle happen, the more successful you're going to be. And it's really scary when you first start, right? Because it's hard to, like, do it and then be wrong with real money. I think it's the real money thing that scares people in marketing.
Well, and I still do this on a daily basis. My wife and I have our own business, not franchised, which we went through COVID with it. And
what kind of business is it, I guess?
It's a landscaping company.
Okay, yeah, sure.
And it's solid size. But we went through COVID, and I was actually working with her on that during COVID. She's like, well, we had nobody to talk to about what was going on. So we had no networking in that sense. And that was something that was so nerve wracking at that stage. But the same deal she's a CPA by trade. I'm a marketing guy by initial trade.
Different personalities.
Have you ever tried to it's like convincing a lawyer to say yes initially without saying no first. Your rule is you have to say yes at least to one of the ideas without saying no. Just to say, hey, we need to do this. I don't know if it'll work. I understand, but we need to. And there I have it's my wife, and I felt even more difficult to try and prove to her why. And so, I mean, I've even had it firsthand.
So. We have similar lived experiences. My wife owns her own psychology practice. Really fantastic psychologist. Really difficult to reinforce that there's a funnel here, even if it does seem like they just magically come in through your online portal. There's a reason they're finding you. I love that, and I'm curious. You talk a lot about, like, how a franchisee should evaluate a new franchise market or a new franchise opportunity. Beyond, like, the leadership and they've got systems in place. What kind of signals are telling you if a concept is truly scalable? The same probably applies to you, of, like, you decide to join a brand as president or CEO. Like, what are you looking for that says this is scalable? This is why we should join this as a Z or a new executive or whatever it may be.
Yeah. So one of the things is the consistency of the industry is one thing. And once you look at that, you're going to then be checking out how many competitors really are floating around in your market. And that's the key, not just what we all talk about it. We only can say certain things as a franchisor. A lot of it's a more higher level. Folks that are looking at their markets we need to try to dig into their markets. And they say, well, what about my market? The franchisor is not going to tell you any more than they can.
Yeah.
Due to the FDD and what's there from the disclosure perspective.
Yep.
They're not going to give you the rundown of every element that's possible in your location. You're going to have to work on that. But that's where you use your validations. Talk to the folks that are in the industry. That's the other one. On the validations, how are these people? There should be a variety of validators, I would think. We have some that are newer and in our mix, and some that are more tenured, and we have some that have multiple companies. Well, those bring in different dynamics. What is your model? And only map it to your model. So if you are coming into my industry and you don't have any elements in mitigation, model it to no elements of mitigation. Not that you have you don't have a mitigation company. Do it for the niche of content, which is what we are. And don't add all this extra stuff that might have a fluff, if you would, to a pro forma. And then when you get into it, you don't have that side. Yeah. So again, evaluating the reality of what it is definitely one of the things. The other thing is like talking to the network. When you're on the validators, ask questions. Yeah. Ask the question, like, how did you get here? Yeah. When was the last time you talked to other owners? Yeah. And what was your topic? Because if other owners aren't talking about something that's going on in the industry or what they're going on in their business, the network may not be as connected as you might think to offer that additional assistance. Yeah. The franchisor is there to help and support, but I still think one of the biggest benefits of franchising is the network. It's other owners. You joined a brotherhood and sisterhood of people that have invested in it. Yep. So that's another one. The other thing is remember, this is an investment. Right. This is something you want to, so you get in, I don't feel like I'm getting this. And then you get negative on it. Remember, you still want to help everybody. Your brand sells franchises, your investment rises. Right. Period. Now execute your business and you make even more money. That's the whole point. And I think some of that gets figuring out how that is in reality is by asking actual owners. Yeah. The franchisor is going to tell you, hey, we have a good network. We have all this. Sure. We're allowed to say all that. Yep. And that's fine. And there are very good networks out there. There's not one that's better. I mean, there's some that are super great. And sure. But you can find out by just asking those questions to the validators. And I will tell you, they will share, and there will be franchisors that will be scared that they will share that much. Right. And but that's why you have validations and you have those. If they don't have validators, you need to dig in and try to be able to contact some folks that are in the network. Yeah, harder with emerging brands, but
I think there's an emotional journey to it, right? And I think it's like my background's in venture capital. For them, it's the J curve, right? You invest, and you harvest the returns. I think there's the same emotional journey when it comes to acquiring a new franchise, right? And it's, oh, wow, all fun and games, the onboarding, it's the best thing ever. Yeah, hoorah, hoorah. And then 3 weeks in, and it's like, well, shit, my Google leads are down 20%. Like, what's going on here? And then reality sets in. And I
think our J curve starts a little earlier, just so you know, because we do this onboarding element that is pre-physical training.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And you're in your software like early, and I guarantee you that oh shit moment happens before you show up to our physical training. And sometimes we have to bring some people back off the plank a little bit and like, hey, it's really not that bad. Don't worry about this. You're going to get really used to operating and executing in this manner. Yeah. It's just different than what they've done, but you're absolutely right.
Yeah, I think it always happens, and it happens, sooner or later for some. I'm curious, like your advice for franchisors, like that moment exists, and I think some, they'll shy away from it. They're scared of it. They don't want them to get to the moment, even though it's an inevitability. How do you approach that? How do you say, hey, we know this moment exists. This is the training we need in place, or this is the perfect time. We should recommend they go talk to our 15-year vet over here who's done this. Like, do you intentionally plan those points?
Yeah, we actually do. When I started almost 3 years ago, it was at our physical training. That moment happened there. And we've now moved it much earlier into our process. So we've brought everybody on. We spent too much time trying to get to software logging on all of this in a face-to-face where you have them for a week, a little over a week of physical training.
Yep.
I was like, we moved it earlier because that's how we started their week off. Hey, welcome to training. And it's like,
let's go sit on a computer together.
Four systems, and how do they talk to each other? And so we've actually moved that to almost 2 to 3 weeks following the franchise agreement. Our new owners are starting on the software, so they're hitting those moments much quicker. But it's also not as steep.
Right? Yeah, you can angle it out a little bit, right? Yeah,
it's not like they hit it in the actual business; they hit it in the ramp up in the sandbox of training a little bit, and then it's like, hey, so what if you mess that one up? Who cares? Like, let's go redo it, and then they get the next one that's smoother and smoother and smoother.
Yeah,
and that's where we start to involve. Hey, we see where you're at here. We have several different owners that we direct based on what topic is seeming to be the biggest eye-opening moment for new owners, because it does vary with them. And so we make sure who we think some of the best people to address some of those. Some are around sales, some are around adapting to software. I got some folks that are my age and older that we get some owners that come in and they're looking at the software just like, oh crap,
this is the most advanced piece of technology I've ever used.
Yeah. And we're like, hey dude, this is extremely basic, and let me get you to here, we're telling you, and let me get you to somebody else. And so we do know that, and there's other moments we're trying to identify when they happen in the first 12 months. Because like you said, at a certain point you're gonna have a lull. And especially in my industry, but just like you said, where's that lull? How and when it starts to happen, do you have business coaches ready to see it happening and then try to get in immediately so that it's a softer landing and then getting back on the upswing a little quicker? So we are still working on that part even more to try and have it identified. I think you could see it in some other brands that they slow on their spending, right? They're getting out of the 100%. Gate. They had investment dollars. They're up there. They're going. And then all of a sudden they think it's just going to coast. And so they start peeling back some of that investment, right? Or what we call investment. They're calling it spend. Right. You're talking about marketing here. They're calling that spend. So they start peeling that back a little bit, like, oh, I can start putting some of that in my pocket now. I'm rolling. And then all of a sudden, it's like
our top
paper plane starts going straight.
What's going on here?
And then you can start to see some of those elements. Oh, they lost a salesperson. They lost this. There's a lot of dynamics that go back and forth with it. But if you're paying attention to it and you're working with them on a communication stream, all franchisors should be able to start identifying where you start seeing lulls. It is like when I played sports and stuff, there were times within my competitions I knew when I would drag. And it's like, hey, I knew it was coming, and were there ways to preempt it so that it was shallow versus very steep, which could cost you, a W or a loss, basically. So it's the same type of deal. You don't want to experience that. It sucks as an owner, as a business owner. It's your money. You're bleeding with it every day. It's a roller coaster. The first 12 months are a major roller coaster.
100%.
And you just have to be aware of it and ride with it and keep finding the ways to get up on that higher side of it. But, we try to look at it. Yes.
No, it makes a ton of sense. And I think proactivity is the way to go. And I'm curious on that, kind of connecting this back to, maybe your personal journey with AI and how you're starting to do it. I think one of the things I'm always fascinated by is like, one of the biggest strengths of a franchise system is that it's a system, right? It's applied to everybody. I would argue one of the downsides to that is it's intentionally slower when it comes to things sometimes, right? Because you can't just decide, I tried this thing and I want everybody to use it now. There's a whole process to that. And so you're building owner trust, you're building resiliency with them as you make these slow decisions. How do you as CEO still push that innovation forward and say, hey, we need to try a new technology and we need to do it fast. We need to do it iteratively while still being mindful to like, we're somewhere on this J curve roller coaster with folks and we want to place it in at the right time.
Well, number one, you don't call it technology.
Okay.
Because the minute you say that, everybody's, oh, here they go again, changing the world.
Okay, that's great. What do we call it then? What's the word?
I don't know. It's We call it
Just
improvement. We just avoid that portion.
Yeah, so I run a solution company.
That's
Stefan,
it. That's what it is. No,
Yeah.
there's a good word. Yeah.
Yep.
So you find it's literally just different verbiage. We're talking the same thing for anybody that's out there. But franchisees hate that you're changing. As a franchisor, if you're saying you're changing technologies,
Yep.
I mean, they're thinking the world like you're changing 50% of my business now, and I got to figure this out. That's not what anybody's really doing. Does it happen? Sure. There's some real base changes and you got to go with them. But the innovation, the thing you mentioned on innovation, Paul, is great because it's extremely difficult because I got some owners that are out on the bleeding edge with technologies, even for our industry, how they're doing sales elements, everything. I got some, and then I got the base of the most that are followers, and I got some detractors. They're going to say no to everything. So literally three areas there. And you get the folks out there on the bleeding edge and they're like, dude, we did this. Look at our results. We tested this. And you're like, man, you should be implementing this to everybody. That's not how a franchisor will work. Just saying, you guys are your business owners. You can go implement these. And I highly encourage owners that are doing it to do it. And then I also try to provide them a little bit of a platform to share with the rest of the network so that nobody's missing out on it. While at the same time, corporately, we're trying to identify it, come to our vetted solution of it and how we can roll it out.
Yep.
There's all sorts of elements that go into this as a franchisor that franchisees are not thinking about.
Correct. Yeah.
So we're trying to figure out, is there a better buying power if we do this all together? Because a lot of it's subscription.
Well, especially within a platform, as with 5 Stars, it's another layer of
even
complexity
more.
there. Yeah.
You got it. And so part of it is just encouraging everybody to keep looking. Don't just ride. The ones that are really out there are helpful in that manner. And we put them at the forefront. Again, as franchisees and my business coaches, my ops team, my marketing team, we're all trying to find new ways to utilize it, but also how we're going to need it is a little bit different than how a franchisee might need it. We're trying to use some of the softwares and the AI, for example, to benefit how franchisees engage and utilize the brand and access elements of the brand, not necessarily how they're executing and accessing their day-to-day jobs.
Yeah.
And so sometimes those aren't always aligned, and we need some owners to be the ones to help us understand, because we do not have a corporate operating entity. We don't own a territory or anything. So we depend.
Yeah. You need that data. You need that testing environment, right? Yeah. I'm curious then, moving on from there, and I want to touch a little bit on this because I do a lot of research on folks before I interview them. You talk a lot about your athletic career beforehand, how it changed your mindset and how you kind of do things today. I think a big part of that, and I love hiring college athletes, honestly, myself, is resiliency. Like, you kind of understand inherently to do something good and great, you've got to go through all this journey. I think especially people coming from a Fortune 1000 where, they've just kind of rolled their life. They built a career. They did the thing. There's not a ton of ups and downs when it comes to that. Like, it's pretty straight line. How do you build that mental, emotional resiliency into your team, in yourself, into your franchisees? Because that's what you need to be great at the end of the day.
That's very difficult. And I would not say that I've successfully done that throughout all 3 of those areas.
Yeah.
In, how I manage certain elements of that is based on my background, but interviewing for the team, we're trying to identify folks that have been through ups and downs and they've managed their way through it. And then even more so, have they coached anybody else through it?
Yeah, sure.
In franchise, as a franchisor, my goal is offer support. So I need people that are willing to engage with owners. And I think the folks that have not been in franchising do not understand that.
Yeah.
Well, I can solve the problem. I know, but you have to solve the problem along with all your franchisees, right? And it's like, just because you can solve the problem doesn't mean they're going to accept it. In fact, there's going to be a core of them that are just going to say no because you said it. So that's just franchising. I mean, I've done this for over 20 years. I've been in a lot of brands with it. I haven't found that to be different.
Yep.
And I have not been in a bad network, I don't feel. I feel the networks have been phenomenal. They're really good. But then getting the franchisees, that's very difficult because if you're going to start limiting it to really the psyche of that, I mean, it's one of the things you want to do is try to find the right type of personality that fits your brand.
Yep.
The ups and the downs, the consistency, how it builds, how long the cash takes to come in. Those are dynamics that you have to find people that have that appetite. And so
Absolutely.
part of that is on our job as a franchisor to make sure you're, as a franchisee or a candidate to be a franchisee, are the right fit.
Yep.
Because some of it is not.
Yeah.
And we have to be cautious because it's not good for them. It's not good for us. And it wouldn't be a good experience. Training owners to think that way is even more difficult. So we started at our convention, the last convention. We actually had the head sports psychologist from IMG Academy.
Oh, I love that.
Come talk to our franchisees. And it was about spinning and being positive attitudes. Because if you're having a down month, you can't let it ride. You got to be up there spinning. And it was really interesting to take that type of dynamic and apply it. And so can we do more of that? Yes. We as a brand probably need to do more interjections of mentality training. Mental training that doesn't have to do with your P&L or your sales model or anything like that. Because if you can get that more consistent, they may be hiring better people for the positions that they're trying to fill. I'm not great at it. There's no chance yet for me. I will. You can ask my owners. They say, "Yeah, we did that. We didn't listen to him." No, they really. I'll be honest. We had 90% of our owners at the meetings that time, and they loved it. They participated in it, and I definitely saw a change in certain elements from them. I hope they're applying that with the staff that they hire. And then encouraging them to also be on that same light and know that you solve the problem. It's not everything's going to be perfect. They're not all layups. Let's go figure out where it is. Ask questions. When you go through all of this, the people that are successful, they ask. They don't just try to figure it out on their own. They ask. And I find that the hardest thing. I think people are scared to ask the question for whatever reason. Just ask us. And we don't know. If you haven't told us, we don't know that it's wrong.
Can't read minds.
I'd love to. God, I'd love to. Man, I would not be doing this. I'd probably be playing Texas Hold'em and taking my living doing that way. But, if you just share like, hey, this isn't working for me. Great. Let's figure that out. Because that's the immediate response you're going to get from anybody on my team. It isn't like, well, suck it up and do it. It's going to be good. Let's figure out what does
let's figure out how we can make it work or if we need to pivot or something.
That's right.
I like that. And then maybe a last question here, just more forward looking. Like I think it's been interesting. We're in an interesting economic time, I would say, right? Between consumer spending, rates going all over the place, a lot of economic policy changing. But I have to imagine, feel confident. You guys have to be a pretty resilient just being that you do service kind of emergency situations and all of that. What does the future look like for 1-800-Packouts? How confident are you? Why are you confident? And what does that look like?
Yeah, so you hit it correct too. For our industry, we're heavily based on insurance work, which is a disaster, if you would. So
literally and figuratively.
Both. The economy doesn't play a huge factor in the core of our business. It could to additives.
Sure.
If our locations are doing additional services that can help and that are what we call direct pay. But outside of that, the restoration industry, the disaster restoration industry has not been going backwards over the last decade. It continues to increase, and you got to look at the areas around our infrastructure. We focus a lot on individuals, not on commercial products or commercial services. We'll do commercial services for sure. Something that we are looking into. That's the other growth element we have. But when you look at that, infrastructures are dated. And not to offend any of our new home builders, but a lot of them take shortcuts. The materials that they're using are not as strong as they have been. The workforce is not very, the ones that are there are the taskers, if you would, those that are in the industries, they're putting it all together. There are less of them in trades and potentially not as, they're so busy, to be honest. They go quick and they make a lot of mistakes. all that does, and you say, well, what does that matter? Well, if you have a washer and dryer on the second floor and the washer line is not done very well and it pops after
All of
3
a sudden,
years,
you've got a restoration project.
you got a big restoration project because it's coming 2 floors. A light fire gets through the HVAC systems and there's soot everywhere. So it's a pretty big deal. So those are just the smaller ones, not even talking about the natural disasters that are out there of tornadoes and flooding, hurricanes. Straight line winds have been a higher conversation lately than anything I've seen.
Yeah.
We don't control those. And that predictability is definitely something that keeps everybody on their toes.
Sure.
And so that's why it's not, the future for us is this is still going to be here. There's a support mechanism that's in place already.
Yeah.
For us, we have good white space still available to sell franchises.
Yep.
More franchises we sell, the more valuable we are to insurance carriers because we can handle it. We teach a certain way that they like.
Yep.
So as we continue to grow, we may be able to solidify and continue to solidify more of our position in the industry, in the market, to continue our growth for us and our franchise owners.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you spurred a thought in my mind, maybe a last question. How do you work with, either predictive weather data or insurance companies? Like I think of Florida and California as insurance companies pull out of that, restoration projects get way more expensive on the consumer. How does that impact what you guys do and maybe how you approach specifically those types of states?
Yeah, so they don't get more expensive for the consumer side. They get more expensive on the insurance side.
Oh, interesting. Sure.
So Florida had that exodus years ago.
Yep.
And there's always somebody else that comes in. There is some governmental backed insurance, and then now there's some smaller insurance companies, and they're starting
that are willing to take like a higher risk profile.
They take a little bit higher risk profile. The cost is a little bit more, but they're specializing in those coastal areas like if you're looking at the East Coast.
Yeah.
And then the fire element, that's a little different. That's just starting some of those exits. But you're still getting some of that same element. So how we address that is learning. You have to be adaptive to what's in the market. So how do you work with some of the smaller insurance carriers?
Yep.
The whole key on our side is that we're writing it and doing it by the rules. They call it SLAs, the service level agreements. If you do that correctly and you provide the backup, no one has a problem with how you bill.
Yeah.
If you're trying to hide something and you send one sheet of paper for a $40,000 loss, it's going to have some problems. I mean, just wait a second. What am I paying for?
Yeah, common sense.
Yeah, I mean, there's tools like inventory. Ours is very dedicated to inventory.
Sure.
Prove it. If you can justify it, it's going to be taken care of. And the other element that goes with all of that is a lot of that, when you have disasters, it changes dynamics. It goes up to a higher level.
Yep.
Approvals are done at a faster rate. You get a slightly higher rate. So you have more folks that are ready to do the work. Yeah. We're always there to help. I've got locations in both. It's managing it and taking care of the homeowner. Because we deal with their personal property, we try to get a little more. We probably have the highest level of empathy of all contractors in our industry.
Yeah.
Because I promise you don't know as much as you think you know about your homeowner's policy.
Yeah, makes sense.
And that's something that we want to keep helping owners, and we touch their personal belongings so they see us a little more as
you're visible.
The main person.
Yep.
And so we teach our franchisees a little bit more about that, and that's how they address it. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Well, beautiful. I know we're kind of coming up here on time. I think really, really fascinating episode, Stefan. I really appreciate it. I think talking through the journey of a Z, I think is really important. I think being true and honest to the emotional journey and just the business knowledge journey that they're going on is really meaningful. Working through how you guys kind of pick technologies and make those decisions as a ZOR, also super interesting. So thank you so much for taking the time. I always like to, at the end, like a late night show host, give you the podium. Where should people find you? What do they need to know about 1-800-Packouts? The minute's yours.
Appreciate it. You can find me online. We're there, 1-800-Packouts.com. Super simple. The number works, 1-800-Packouts. That's the best place to get us. Anything you need, we can help. Even if you have just questions, us or our owners will be able to help you if it's a homeowner situation, how to evaluate something or anything like that. We'd love to help on that. We're also on all social media platforms as well. So we're quite present, if you would. So
Awesome.
happy to help.
Awesome. And if you're looking for a golf sim in DFW, you've got one in the office ready to go. So for anybody not needing a pack out, you can check Stefan out with that.
We do that for our conversation starters.
Lovely. Well, everybody, thank you so much for joining us again on another episode of Behind the Franchise. I hope you enjoyed it as much as me, and we look forward to having you on the next one. Talk to you soon.